Is there a God? Stephen Hawking gives the definitive answer to the eternal question. Every great scientist in the century and a half since has been faced with this question, be it by personal restlessness or public demand. That is what Stephen Hawking does in his final book, Brief Answers to the Big Questions, a collection of 10 enormous questions Hawking was asked regularly throughout his life by men and women. Is there a God? If you want to discover unthinkable question like this, then please subscribe and press bell icon for future videos. For centuries, it was believed that disabled people lived under a curse that was inflicted by God. Well, I suppose it's possible that I've upset someone up there, but I prefer to think that everything can be explained another way, by the laws of nature. If you believe in science, like I do, you believe that there are certain laws that are always obeyed. If you like, you can say the laws are the work of God, but that is more a definition of God than a proof of his existence. I believe that the discovery of these laws has been humankind's greatest achievement, for it's these laws of nature, as we now call them, that will tell us whether we need a God to explain the universe at all. The laws of nature are a description of how things actually work in the past, present and future. I use the word God in an impersonal sense, like Einstein did, for the laws of nature, so knowing the mind of God is knowing the laws of nature. My prediction is that we will know the mind of God by the end of this century. But even with the laws of nature conceded, Hawking recognizes that their existence still leaves room for religions to lay claim to the grandest question, how the universe and its laws began. He addresses the question both plainly and profoundly. I think the universe was spontaneously created out of nothing, according to the laws of science. Despite the complexity and variety of the universe, it turns out that to make one you need just 3 ingredients. So what are the 3 ingredients we need to cook up a universe? The first is matter, stuff that has mass. Matter is all around us, in the ground beneath our feet and out in space. Dust, rock, ice, liquids. The second thing you need is energy. Even if you've never thought about it, we all know what energy is. Something we encounter every day. Look up at the sun and you can feel it on your face, energy produced by a star 93 million miles away. Energy permeates the universe, driving the processes that keep it a dynamic, endlessly changing place. The third thing we need to build a universe is space. Lots of space. You can call the universe many things, awesome, beautiful, violent, but one thing you can't call it is cramped. The instinctual question is where all the matter, energy, and space came from. But of course the critical question is raised again, did God create the quantum laws that allowed the Big Bang to occur? I have no desire to offend anyone of faith, but I think science has a more compelling explanation than a divine creator. Once again he illustrates this idea in our basic common sense intuitions analogy. Imagine a river, flowing down a mountainside. What caused the river? Well, perhaps the rain that fell earlier in the mountains. But then, what caused the rain? A good answer would be the sun, that shone down on the ocean and lifted water vapor up into the sky and made clouds. Okay, so what caused the sun to shine? Well, if we look inside we see the process known as fusion, in which hydrogen atoms join to form helium, releasing vast quantities of energy in the process. Where does the hydrogen come from? Answer: the Big Bang. But it is possible that nothing caused the Big Bang. This explanation, Hawking points out, rests on the shoulders of Einstein's groundbreaking relativity theory, the daring leap of the imaginative intellect, which furnished the staggering revelation that space and time are a single entity comprising the basic fabric of the universe. Something very wonderful happened to time at the instant of the Big Bang. Time itself began. To understand this mind-boggling idea, consider a black hole floating in space. A typical black hole is a star so massive that it has collapsed in on itself. It's so massive that not even light can escape its gravity, which is why it's almost perfectly black. Its gravitational pull is so powerful, It warps and distorts not only light but also time. To see how, imagine a clock is being sucked into it. As the clock gets closer and closer to the black hole, it begins to get slower and slower. Time itself begins to slow down. Now imagine the clock as it enters the black hole, well, assuming of course that it could withstand the extreme gravitational forces, it would actually stop. It stops not because it is broken, but because inside the black hole time itself doesn't exist. And that's exactly what happened at the start of the universe. As we travel back in time towards the moment of the Big Bang, the universe gets smaller and smaller and smaller, until it finally comes to a point where the whole universe is a space so small that it is in effect a single infinitesimally small, infinitesimally dense black hole. Hawking concludes with his most direct, personal answer to the universal question. It's my view that the simplest explanation is that there is no God. No one created the universe and no one directs our fate. This leads me to a profound realization: there is probably no heaven and afterlife either. I think belief in an afterlife is just wishful thinking. There is no reliable evidence for it, and it flies in the face of everything we know in science. I think that when we die we return to dust. But there's a sense in which we live on, in our influence, and in our genes that we pass on to our children. We have this one life to appreciate the grand design of the universe, and for that I am extremely grateful. One day, I hope we will know the answers to all these questions. But there are other challenges, other big questions on the planet which must be answered, and these will also need a new generation who are interested and engaged, and have an understanding of science.